All right, so food is super expensive and going out to eat is crazy. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make steakhouse quality steak with mushrooms, a cream mushroom sauce that is so good that you can't believe you made it at home. So, and the best place to get the best price, Costco. Executive member hour 2. Go down the back way. Now there's only a few things I'm going to buy here. The steak, of course. We're going to get mushrooms. And we're gonna get cream. That's it. You also need onions. I already bought a bag of onions. But let's start with the steak. So this is the type of steak that you would buy if you're at a steakhouse. So we're going American Wagyu. Literally nobody here. That's awesome. Imperial American Wagyu beef. Oh my gosh. And this is what I'm looking for right here. The New Yorks. Look at all that marbling. Now normally you would pay easily $50 a pound at the grocery store for this. Here, $27. Now, still super expensive, $60 for 2, but you could easily pay $150, $200 just for the steaks if you were to buy this at a steakhouse. So this is what we're gonna get. USDA Prime is also a good option as well. This is what I get when I'm trying to save a little money but still splurge. This one is $22 a pound. Got a good amount of marbling, but of course, look at this again. This is Wagyu for you. This is the kind of marbling you want. Now to the produce section. Okay, for the mushrooms, there's 2 different kinds you want to get. These golden chanterelles, which right now is only 13 bucks, which is a screaming good deal. These are wild mushrooms, really good. And also these shiitakes. The chanterelles with the shiitakes, and these are $10, is a really good combo. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy these 2 for the mushroom cream sauce. Now, if you want to save a little bit more money, you can totally buy these mini bellas, which actually has a really meaty flavor if you roast it the way I'm going to show you. So these are also an option, only $6.49. I've never seen this before. $7 broccoli, and there's only 1 bag left. These are cucumbers. This is literally the last bag of broccoli. This is just what I'm getting for a side dish, you know, something healthy with the steaks. Last item is right around the corner. In the dairy section, we're gonna cut right through the middle. And that is heavy whipping cream. Let's look for the freshest. Ooh, right here, baby. Dairy Gold, local Washington company, heavy whipping cream. Best deal. This whole thing, $10, which could be literally half the size if you're gonna buy it at a regular grocery store. And that is it. Time to check out. I love this extra hour in the morning. Alright, my receipt came out to 112 bucks, and minus the Asian pears, that's $100 for all these ingredients, which you could easily pay for literally 1/2 American Wagyu steak at a restaurant. Look at that, 9:13. I checked out at 10 minutes exactly. Time to prepare these steaks now. Just got home, got my steaks. I'm about to open these up. But the way you prep them is, get a rack like this, and you're gonna set it on here and put it into the fridge. The reason you do this is because you want to dry out the outside of your steaks as much as possible. These steaks are wet. There's moisture on them. Put them in the fridge, and the dry air of the fridge and the circulating of the air will actually dry out the outside of these. So you're gonna take these, put it on a rack, put it in the fridge for at least 8 hours, if not 24 to 48 hours. So I'm gonna do that right now.
All right, it's been almost 12 hours since I put those steaks in there, so I'm gonna pull them out.
So I did something that I didn't show you guys, and I want to definitely suggest it when you don't have a lot of time to let your steaks just dry out inside of the fridge. All right, I learned this from Alton Brown. Oh shoot, it died. This was a fan, and it was blowing air across these steaks to help dry the edges out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. Well, let me take this out first. Judy just gave this to me. It obviously needs to be charged. But what's happening here is not only is the cool, dry air of the fridge really drying out the outside, but the movement of the air also is helping that out. Normally I do this overnight or for at least 48 hours. I only had 12 hours, so I wanted to help it out by moving the air along with that fan. All right, I need to start preparing the ingredients. But I'm gonna let that sit for a good hour, but I can already kind of feel the outside is kind of tacky. It's a little dry, and that's exactly what you want. All right, mise en place is done. So we've got those mushrooms that Judy actually washed for me. Got the shiitakes, which we want to keep this size, and if they're bigger than that, usually I cut them in half. And then the chanterelle mushrooms, same thing. If they're about this size, just leave them, but if they're bigger, we chop them up. So like it rustic, and not much other than washing and slicing that you're gonna do here. We're gonna also use onions. Now, normally it calls for shallots or onions, but a lot less. I like a lot of onions, so I dice these up real small, and that'll go along with the mushrooms. Now, this is a mushroom cream sauce, so we've got heavy whipping cream that's been sitting out, so it's not too cold. Now, this is where all the magic happens. First thing I wanna say is, everybody thinks all you need when cooking a mushroom cream sauce is mushrooms and cream, and then of course like salt and pepper. But these I find are very crucial if you want that strong mushroom flavor. Other than high heat and charring those mushrooms, these I would highly suggest. First off, more mushroom powder. So these are porcini or chanterelle powder. Porcini's even better, but this is all they had at the farmer's market. This is just roasted, dried, and pulverized chanterelle powder. So it's this turned into a powder. This is gonna give you a really strong mushroom flavor. If you can get any other kind of powder, use it. But porcini's my favorite. It just happens to be chanterelles. Okay, also, my mom told me soy sauce. So normally you'd use a Worcestershire, but I like the depth of a soy sauce, so this is some fancy stuff. We'll just splash this on, a little bit of salt, and of course kind of that umami of the soy sauce. And then speaking of umami, this umami powder is my latest and greatest favorite stuff from Jamoto Foods. Shout out to this company based out of Australia. I don't know if, I think you can get this on Amazon. All right, the base to deglaze the pan with is this beef bone broth. This is just gonna give you another layer of depth, and you're gonna need some liquid to get all the bits off the bottom of the pan, so definitely use some beef bone broth. And last but not least is Grey Poupon or Dijon mustard. You're barely gonna use any of this. Again, this is just gonna add another layer of depth. Of course, plenty of butter. I've also got some clarified butter, which is butter where you remove all the white parts. By the way, the pan is super hot, so I have to be careful. Last but not least, salt, pepper, pretty basic. And the first thing I'm gonna do is salt and pepper this steak before I start cooking. Now this pan is very hot right now. I've been warming up on a low heat, and you don't want it blazing hot, but you really want to heat up your stainless steel pan, so I already did that. Additionally, I've got this thing on a full broil. Now, I do actually want to get it to bake, so I'm going to change this to bake. I just do this just to get this nice and warmed up, because after I'm done cooking the steaks and resting it, I'm going to cook the onions and the mushrooms on here. I'm going to throw it into a piping hot oven to kind of finish off and help cook. Really important. When you're cooking mushrooms, you want a dry, hot heat. That's how you're gonna get all that flavor out. If you don't cook this right, it's not gonna have that mushroom flavor depth that you want, hence why you use the porcini powder, or in this case, chanterelle powder. So, all right, let's talk about the tools. Racks on racks on racks. So this rack is meant to rest the steaks after I'm done cooking, and then I'm gonna put foil over it so it rests and it stays warm. Some good tongs. These are the style of the restaurant. These don't lock up, which is what I actually prefer now. Shout out to my friend Matt who taught me that. You don't want them to lock up. And then just a couple of sheet trays. I'm using this paper towel to dab any leftover moisture on the steaks. And I've got my bowl. I love wooden bowls, so I'm gonna use this for the mushroom cream sauce. And then this is the cutting board I'm gonna use for the steaks. Other than that, I think it's time to start cooking. Two things, really important to have this mise en place going on. You want everything prepared. You don't want to be dealing with this and that. I just find that it's going to be way more peaceful. It's going to be way more efficient, and you're just going to enjoy the cooking process if you prepare everything beforehand. Second thing, ice cold beer or some wine. Cheers. Oh yeah, Kirkland signature beer. I got Costco steaks, Costco mushrooms, Costco heavy cream, Costco onions, Costco beef broth, and of course, Costco beer. All right, for these steaks, I'm just gonna simply remove any more moisture. It is very tacky and dry, and it's been cooling for about an hour, so this is kind of perfect. If you were to let this rest for even longer, it'd be even better, but it's all good. I don't know what this piece is. And I'm about to salt and pepper this. Now, you could add salt to this before you put it into the fridge. I've heard from other chefs who do this, it'll actually make it even more salty, which is kind of obvious, while still drying out the outside, but I did not. You're gonna wanna use plenty of salt. Let's put it all over. The thicker the steak, the more salt you're gonna wanna use. My friend Grant from the YouTube channel Chef Steps, he actually weighs how much salt he puts on there, just because that's the only way to know if you're adding enough salt for your meat, which is pretty fancy, pretty bougie. I do not do that, as you can see. I've been doing this long enough to know. I mean, I just want to put in a lot of salt. Now, pepper is not something I put a lot on, because I will add more pepper later, but I do add a little bit, and I like to have it as fine as possible. One reason is you don't want to really burn the pepper, but a little bit I find is okay. And then really get that in there into the surface. Flip it over and do the other side as well. So very crucial, you want this nice and warmed up, but not too hot. If it's too hot, it's going to burn. But you want it hot enough to do this. What's happening here is I'm rendering this fat. If you don't notice, there's a lot of fat right here. And this is what I'm gonna use to kind of lubricate the pan. And the reason you don't want it too hot is because if it's crazy hot right now, it's gonna smoke, it's gonna burn, and that's not what you want. You wanna slowly render some of that fat. By the way, these steaks are still cold to the touch, which is totally okay. So I'm just gonna leave that there for probably a good minute to two. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes now. I'm gonna use some extra beef tallow. This is just to make sure I have enough fat going on. So just render some on each side here. I found that sometimes if there's too little, it's just not gonna sear correctly. Ooh. Now we're good to go. Now, I am still gonna keep the heat kind of low, but I'm gonna turn it to about medium low now. It was on low the whole time. Now it's time to start cooking. First thing I'm gonna do here is kind of move it around, make sure there's enough fat all over that pan. Then I'm just gonna lay it down like this. Take a nice spatula like this, press it down. And if you have, use a press, like a burger press like that. Just really let it go. I'm gonna do that with the other one too. Same thing, move it around. Make sure there's enough on that pan to coat. Lay it down. Use your spatula, press it. And if you have a burger press it down. There you go. It's gonna totally be worth it too. Really important, you're gonna wanna do two things here. Start your timer. So I'm gonna do 1.5 minutes because it's already been about 30 seconds. Because you really wanna give even cooking to each side. Now, ultimately, you're gonna wanna rely on your handy dandy thermometer. I'm trying to get to about 125 degrees because after you're done cooking it at 125, it's gonna get up to 130 or 135. I'm trying to get to medium rare, maybe even a medium, just because there's a lot of fat in an American Wagyu and you're trying to render all that out. But use a timer, use a thermometer. Without fail, that's the best way to do it. Okay, it's been 2 minutes now. Let's go ahead and flip. Now at this point, it's not gonna be quite the way you want it. Let's get that fat all around. You're gonna have to lift up the pan, turn it over. And yes, it doesn't look that impressive right now, and that is totally okay. Same thing over here though. Take your spatula, press it down. Do that with the other side as well. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the fan though. There you go. Set another timer for 2 minutes. One thing you can't get around is there's gonna be a lot of smoke, a lot of steam. It's gonna smell. So open some windows, have your fan on blast, because if you don't, you're gonna set off some fire alarms. All right, timer just went off. Time to check these. Get your handy dandy tongs again. Move all that beef tallow around. There we go. And flip it. Like I said, nothing really impressive going on yet, but you're gonna see after this next time, it's gonna get there. I will press it again. Probably don't need to do this as much now. Move around all that beef tallow. Now I'm gonna go for 1 minute and 45 seconds. So one thing that I do is as time goes on, as I'm starting to cook the steak more and more, I'm cooking it on each side less and less. So 2 minutes on each side, then 1 minute and 45 seconds on each side, and then I'll go as far down as 30 seconds as far as I need to go to get a good crust on the outside and to get that 125 on the inside, which, by the way, you can only know with a thermometer. Now I know some people can touch a steak and they have that skill, but the thing is different cuts will have different firmnesses and different types of meat. So like a choice versus an American Wagyu, it's gonna feel different because of that fat that's in there, the marbling. So that's why I always trust the thermometer, and that's the only way I personally go, even though I cook a lot of steaks. Boom. Okay, so this is the first time you're gonna notice a little bit more browning, a little bit of that golden crust that you're trying to get. Oh yeah, there you go. Not much, but yeah, it's getting there. Same thing with this side. Move that fat around. Bam, there you go. This side actually looks even better. That's what you're going for right there. And we'll press it a little bit. Same thing, 1 minute and 45 seconds, and we'll check on it here in a second. Boom. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip. Notice I did turn the pan a little bit because I want to make sure everything's cooking evenly. Oh yeah. I did turn up the heat just oh so slightly now. These are just so thick. It's gonna need a lot of time to cook, so. Now this will be the third time the side that just went down is hitting the surface. So I go ahead and lower the cooking time to about, let's go 1 minute and 15 seconds. Okay, so let's get that thermometer out now. Oh, by the way, look at how good that looks. We're gonna temp it, and I'm looking for 125. What is that at? Oh my gosh, that is donezo. Okay, now this is the thing, you gotta check different parts. That's definitely done, okay? I'm gonna turn off the heat actually. Now the thing is this steak right here is way thicker. I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually more of that medium rare. Like I said, I'm actually going for both medium and medium rare. See, look at that, 125. That is what I'm looking for right there. It's okay, the other one went a little bit over. 128, that is what I'm looking for. And look how beautiful that is. That's what you're going for, okay? All right, I love the crust on this. Gonna move it over here. Look at that, oh baby. These are both done. Fat is rendered. I've got that golden brown outside. Inside is just gonna rest, and now it's time to cover this. I used to not cover it, but as I'm cooking the mushrooms, I find that the steak really kind of get too cold, and I want it to be somewhat warm. So simply take some foil. I'm just gonna cover it like this. It doesn't have to be tight. It's gonna cover it like so. And the reason I want it kind of loose is I don't want it to continue to really cook, because the temperature, though it was at 125 at the middle of that bigger steak, it's gonna go up to 130, maybe even 135, and any higher than that, and it might dry out, but we're just gonna leave it like that. Let's turn this guy back on. Now I'm gonna, at this point, have this on a super high heat. First thing I'm gonna do, cook up these onions. I'm gonna put it straight into this pan. This pan's already pretty hot, even though I did turn off the heat a while ago. This is gonna help to get all this goodness off. It's gonna soak up all this fond and to help deglaze the pan a little bit. Oh yeah, baby. I know this is a lot of onions, but I love me my onions. Another thing about onions, it's going to release a lot of moisture, which again is going to help clean this pan, because I want this pan to be a little bit more on the clean side when I add my mushrooms. So it's going to both soak up all the flavor from that beef fat, all that beef goodness, the salt and pepper that got, you know, left on the pan, while at the same time cleaning the pan off for my mushrooms here in a second. Look at that, see how it's coming off? Because I kept it on a low medium heat that whole time, nothing really burned. In fact, there wasn't even that much smoke. I was quite surprised, so kind of worked out nice. I am gonna add just a tiny bit of salt, but remember there's still a little bit of salt in here from the steaks, so you don't need to add a lot. I'm definitely gonna add way more pepper though, because I did not put that much on those steaks. You can see the bottom of the pan is basically cleaned off, which is exactly what you want. Get a little bit of that beef broth, very little bit, not too much. Get off the last bits off the pan. This is going to further caramelize those onions. Now you're not going for a traditional caramelization. It will sweeten up the onions just a tad, but not by much. It's going to be more on the savory side for sure. There you go. All the liquid is basically concentrated, and that's what you want. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off completely, moving this slurry, this onion slurry, into this little bowl over here. Yeah, baby. Turn the heat back on high. Really, really high. Now, this is what I want for my mushrooms. I learned this somewhere on YouTube, I think. Dry roasting these. No oil, no fat, nothing on the pan. Just straight mushrooms, touching metal at a really high heat. I've got this thing blazing hot, by the way, right now. I'm gonna put as much as I can in here. Now, this is the thing you're probably asking. If you wanna hit it on the pan, doesn't it seem like this is overcrowded? Well, this is exactly why I've got my oven on freaking 500 degrees right now. I am going to just kind of let it do its thing here, but I will add it to the oven here in a second. And I'll show you how this is all done. So, though this seems a little overcrowded, trust me, this is all gonna cook down. Mushrooms really shrink up. I'm just covering every little nook and cranny on the sides here. So you can't really see it, but at the bottom, moisture is coming out of the mushrooms right now, and it's already boiling off. The steam is escaping, so all right, cool. We are good to go. You're gonna wanna get some gloves or something to protect your hands because this is gonna get really hot. Remember how I mentioned this was at 500 degrees? It's been like that for a while now. I'm gonna turn it to broil. So the oven is gonna stay really hot, but I want that top heat right here. I'm starting the broil function, and this is still blazing hot. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna put it right in. In fact, let me just show you guys. Open this up real quick. Put it in the oven, really close to the broil function, and you can't see it, but that is gonna get crazy hot in a second. So what's gonna happen is the bottom of the pan is gonna stay pretty hot in that 500 degree oven, but because it got in the high broil, the flames, there's literally flames at the top, it's gonna cook those mushrooms down. Now I will be paying attention to this because you don't want this to burn. It probably won't because there's so much moisture inside of the mushrooms. We're trying to remove that moisture with this process. Now you can do it right on the stove top. I just find that dry heat in the oven the way you want it. By the way, we're watching the Dodgers. I am going for the Dodgers because of Ohtani, and you know, it's America's team right now at least. LA versus Toronto. There's that onion slurry right there. Let me try it. It's hot. The sweetness of the onions with the drippings from that steak and all that salt and pepper, and of course the beef broth. This is like French onion soup right here. It's been about 5 minutes. Oh, let me just show you. See that? That's what you want. It's supposed to be flaming, but it will be flaming here in a second. There's the flame. There's the mushrooms right there. All right, so when I open this up, I can smell all that mushroom flavor coming off that pan. So it's already reduced by half, I want to say. So it's about ready to take out, and then I'll show you how to finish this off. I want that super hot. Time to take those mushrooms out. And as you can see, they've already reduced down. There's a lot of moisture that came out of this. So I want to boil all of this off and further just kind of char these. But yeah, it's getting there. All right, you can kind of see it, but on the edges of some of these mushrooms, you got a little bit of that charring going on, which you got from the broiling step. And there's still some moisture, but it's almost gone. So we're gonna be able to move on to adding the other ingredients and finishing this mushroom cream sauce. All right, so all the moisture is gone and it's starting to stick to the bottom of the pan. That's what you want. You actually want to kind of almost burn whatever's connecting with the pan right now. But I need to start adding some oil. Now when I say oil, I've got this mushroom powder, garlic, red chili flake, olive oil that I'm going to add. This is gonna really amp up the flavor because of that garlic, of course, and it's gonna add something for the mushrooms to cook with. I've got it on a high heat, by the way. Now I'm gonna start scraping. This is so awesome right now. All this, that's what you want. All this golden brown bits. People talk about getting fond from the meat, but I feel like fond from mushroom, underrated. Remember how much mushrooms were in here? How much it filled the whole pan up? It's really reduced down. We are getting to the point where we're gonna really be able to finish this off, but I'm gonna just let it cook for 1 more minute. This is really reduced down. This is about what you're going for. This is done. You could eat this. Put some salt and pepper, which reminds me, I should probably add a little bit of salt and pepper. Then a little bit of pepper. But of course, we're making a cream sauce. So I'm gonna add all of this onion and beef broth goodness here. I still have the fan on because yeah, it's gonna start getting a little bit steamy up in here. High heat, more beef broth. The reason you want to do this is to deglaze the pan from all that stuff that's on the surface and add some more beefiness to this. And that high heat's gonna help reduce all this down. So just like you deglaze a pan when you had the onions in there after the steaks, you're deglazing the pan again from the mushrooms and whatever was cooked on the surface of the steel pan. Time to add this mushroom powder. Let me show you what it looks like. It kind of has an interesting look. Can't really tell, but it's got a golden, yellow, brown hue to it. I'm gonna probably just eyeball it here. Maybe like half a teaspoon, maybe a 3/4. Then umami powder. This is basically mushroom flavored MSG. Probably don't need that much of it, but I like to add it to really amp it up. Notice I'm adding it when there's still some beef stock in there. And then some soy sauce. Very Japanese, but it really matches the mushroom flavor. You don't need that much here. Now remember, if it's a little salty, that's okay because you're gonna cut all this with a cream and you need it to be maybe too salty so it gets balanced out when that cream is added. Add a little Dijon. Doesn't need that much. Just that much is good. Plenty of butter. Now I'm gonna turn down the heat. This is thick. See that? It's concentrated, and let me just try it real quick. Oh my gosh. Stop it. I could just serve it like that, but we're not going to. That's funny. I kind of want to add a little more mushroom powder though. Just a little bit. You gotta taste as you go. Don't add too much of anything because you can always add more, can't take away. You can probably tell it's not bubbling as much because I've lowered that heat all the way to a low simmer. I'm gonna add one more salt. Plenty of pepper. Now, time for magic. That cream. Woo! Similar to all the other ingredients, don't add too much cream because if you add too much, it's gonna be hard to balance it out. That's about half a cup right there. And we are basically good to go. I will let this all incorporate, taste it. If it needs some more cream, I'll add cream. If it needs more of anything else, I'll add it. But your mushroom cream sauce is basically done at this point. Let's try this out. Oh my gosh, Judy's gonna love this. This with rice, you don't even need the steak. That is so freaking good. Put some pasta in there. Put this over rice. This is perfect. Okay, I'm gonna clean up, slice, plate, eat. Oh my God. Yeah. I always like making extra because this the next day, for some odd reason, just gets even better. Oh yeah, baby. Let's get that thick one right here. Bam, right there. Oh, perfect. I love these edge pieces, man, with the fat and everything. There we go. Steak and mushroom sauce right there, baby. One thing I am gonna do, add a little bit of extra salt in there. Just a little bit, not too much. A little bit of black pepper. A little bit of greens. Perfect medium rare. Whew. A little mushroom cream sauce, or a lot actually. Time to eat. Okay, so the steak has been resting for a long time. So it's not quite cold, but it's not really that warm. So what I like to do, I hit it with some clarified butter that I just nuked in the microwave. The mushrooms are still nice and warm, but I'm just gonna put this right over the top. Just a tiny little bit. Just a tiny bit. This is also gonna just make it so much better. Not that it needs to be better, but No one complained about more butter. Okay, let's try this.
Wow.
Eat that with rice.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Let me show you guys what he means by perfect cook. Look at that. No sous vide, right in the pan, edge to edge. All right, you guys. It takes a little while. Obviously, the prep, the dry aging of sorts inside of the fridge, and your patience will be rewarded. I made enough so that we could eat this in the morning, steak and eggs. Put that mushroom sauce on literally anything. What's cool? It'll make broccoli even taste good.
Try that.
You don't even taste the broccoli, honestly. Just dip it right in, Clea. I'll see you guys later. American Wagyu from Costco, once in a while, worth a treat.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you said you wanted it.
Wow.
That game went so long that you're hungry.
Yeah.
Try that mushroom sauce, though, for reals.
Okay. This is what I was excited. I mean, I'm always excited for mushroom sauce. It's extra mushroomy. Mushroominy. Mushroominy. Is that a word I made up?
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Are you happy right now?
Mm-hmm.